connected with a certified Kingdom advisor when you get there, and you can do that at faithfi.com. Hope that helps. That's going to do it for us today, folks. Thanks to my team, Devin Patrick, Pat Montague, and Jim Henry. Couldn't do it without them. Thank you for being here as well. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and come back and join us tomorrow. Lord willing, I'll be here, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
The American Family Association, informing, equipping, and activating to transform American culture.
Jesus commissioned his disciples to make disciples, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything Jesus commanded them.
We at the American Family Association seek to aid the church in our Great Commission.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Steve Q. Former President and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump says he is still open to having a debate with Vice President and presumptive Democrat nominee Kamala Harris, adding he believes debates are very important.
We'll be debating her, I guess, in the pretty near future. It's going to be announced fairly soon, but we'll be debating her. I'd like to see it on Fox, by the way. I think debates are very important, and I think she'll be exposed just like Biden was exposed. Nobody knew Biden was that bad, and then he was exposed during the debate, and they tried to have a series of comebacks after that, and they didn't work out too well.
Kamala Harris has not held a press conference or sit-down interview or answered a question, for that matter, in the 17 days since she became the presumptive nominee, and Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, says the media should hold her accountable.
I think that you guys have got to do a better job at actually forcing Kamala Harris to answer questions. This is a person who's been the presumptive Democrat nominee for 16 days. She hasn't taken a single real question from a reporter. The American people deserve to get to know the people who want to lead them, and I think it's shameful for Kamala Harris, but increasingly for the media, that she's taking a basement strategy of running from reporters instead of getting in front of them, answering tough questions about her record, and letting the American people know who she is.
Harris's running mate is left-wing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who is raising a lot of concern with comments like this.
In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own business. When Vice President and I talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make your own health care decisions.
Christine Trurian is executive director of the Minnesota Parents Alliance. She says Walz's idea of health care decisions includes putting menstrual products in girls' and boys' bathrooms as young as 4th grade.
I think the really important thing that I want to highlight here is none of his priorities reflect what parents want. And he's not serving parents. Who is he serving? And the answer is teachers unions. You need only look at his campaign contributions to see that our state teachers union pumped $250,000 into his campaigns, and he got thousands more from national teachers unions. And so you can see why Randy Weingarten and others are giddy about this ticket. They know that they have somebody that they can control, and Tim Walz is it.
Tiffany Justice is co-founder of Moms for Liberty.
No, it seems like Randy Weingarten has been at war with American parents since COVID. We had closed schools. We know our kids have suffered so much. And so this is just a real slap in the face to the American people. You know, more voters that I know woke up during COVID and said, maybe I won't vote Democrat again. I think Tim Walz is the nail in the coffin. And I just want to say to every American parent, you need to pay attention to what Tim Walz has done in Minnesota. And if you weren't sure about who Kamala Harris was, this VP pick should really show you exactly who she is.
And finally, a California school district has suspended a special education aide without pay because she brought her personal Trump-themed backpack and water bottle to campus.
Special education teacher Alyssa Esquivel was suspended without pay because school authorities and co-workers objected to conservative political stickers she put on personal items she brought to school. Attorney Julianne Fleischer is with Advocates for Faith and Freedom.
They then attempted to and did censor Ms. Esquivel's political expression, while allowing other district employees to voice their opposition and their political viewpoints. And this is a clear violation of the First Amendment.
Fleischer says her colleagues overreacted to the point where one resorted to a physical outburst.
there were several unprofessional outbursts, including one of her colleagues flipping over a desk and throwing files around, all because of Miss Esquivel's personal belongings.
Fleischer says Esquivel was given an involuntary suspension without pay 7 months ago. I'm Bob Kellogg.
Stocks are bouncing higher on Wall Street so far today. The S&P 500 jumped 1.3% in early trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 251 points, and the Nasdaq Composite rose 1.9%. More news available online at afn.net, and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Every day, AFA offers biblical insight on issues that others aren't willing to touch, in the hopes that you'll become a world changer. That's why we're offering an in-depth worldview training course called Activate. 13 different professors teaching 18 sessions, all available online, including a printed workbook to help you apply what you've learned, and 1-year access to AFA streaming content to give you even more resources. Find out more about Activate and sign up today at activate.afa.net.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildman, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR on this Wednesday, August the 7th, 2024. The panel today includes our diversity, equity, and inclusion member, and that would be the half-Greek, half-Italian, Ed Battagliano.
That's right. I thoroughly represent the half-Italian, half-Greek segment of our listening audience, and that's why I was hired, folks.
You're a man of color. What?
Color me embarrassed.
You're All right, so Ed Battagliano is with me. Wesley Wildman. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning. That could have gone. You were going in a way that, for some people, thought that you had some truth to that until you went to the color part, and then we're like, no, this is a joke.
Yes.
But you fooled a couple. You had some people going there for a second.
Wow, you have a lot of half-Italian, half-Greek listeners?
Yeah.
We're trying to pull that audience in.
We're trying to pull that audience in.
That's right. Christopher Woodward. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Who do you represent, Chris?
I have been told by family members that we have some German heritage, but my ancestors, as far as I know, came from England.
Now, I've said this on the air before, okay? This is one of the primary differences I've noticed. Okay, a native New Englander, born in the Boston area, grew up in New Hampshire. My wife is a native Mississippian. We met at Bible College in Dallas. What I've noticed over the years, I've lived in the South since '85, been married for 43 years.
Okay.
One of the things I've noticed, the difference between Northerners / New Englanders and Southerners. I know exactly what my heritage is, half Italian, half Greek. When I dated girls, okay, admittedly it was few and far between. All right. I always asked, so what's your background? When I asked my wife, what's your background? I meant your ethnic background, because I want to know, are you Polish? Are you French? If you're Italian, maybe we can make this work long term. Yeah. So I asked my wife, Diane, I said, what's your background? She says, what do you mean? I said, like your family, where are they from? She said, Mississippi. I said, no. I said, your ethnic background. She said, we're American. Okay. To this day, just like you said, I think my ancestors came from England somewhere. Yeah. Okay. She told me, she said, I'm Southern and I'm American. And I said, I'm half Italian, half Greek. So when my kids asked what they were, I said, you're half Italian and half Greek, because your mama don't know which.
Well, sociologically
and your
speaking,
daddy don't rock and roll.
Yeah. Sociologically speaking, you are what your father is, so your kids are Greek Italian.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Where'd you
hear that?
That's kind of
sexist,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
do you realize you're part of the patriarchy or something?
No, I mean, I either was told that in college, maybe sociology, or I read it somewhere. But supposedly, you are what your father is. Some cultures have you are whatever your religion is whatever your mother is. Some cultures do that.
Oh, okay.
But as far as your ethnicity, supposedly it comes from the dad. I don't know why. Some old guy with a beard decided that a long time ago.
I'd quit digging right there. I really would.
Well, no, at this point, we've lost half our audience,
No.
so we're good.
I tell you what,
No, they're trying to discover what they are.
Yeah.
We've just done a lot of advertising for Ancestry.
Yeah, I was
whatever.
about to say, I would spit on a stick and have somebody tell me where my people come from, but then BlackRock owns like my DNA, and there'll be a clone of me somewhere in a garage. I don't know.
That would be
totally
a good country
random.
song right
Yeah,
there.
I'm
There's a
recording
clone of
that
me
after the
somewhere
show.
in a garage.
BlackRock.
Don't. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's save
us.
Somebody
Telling
save
you.
us.
It's always up to me to reel this show back in.
I'm sorry, I was on the show yesterday, so I have all this pent-up excitement.
Right, and you're bringing it.
I'm bringing it.
Bringing it in only ways half Italian, half Greeks can do it.
Thank you.
Males.
My people, thank you.
All right, listen. We are so excited about the Truth for Youth Bible campaign, which is having listeners to American Family Radio, children and grandchildren, give these Bibles out across America to kids who don't know the Lord. And
it's legal in schools.
It's absolutely legal. And we've been doing this for many, many years. And I asked Tim to come on, Tim Todd, president of Revival Fires, to give us an update on how we're doing and tell folks who haven't heard how they can participate. Are you back home, Tim?
Yes, I am. Tim, Ed, Chris, good to hear your voices, and glad to be here on the home front.
Okay, the Truth for Youth Bible campaign, but how many Bibles are we up to now?
Right now, as of last night, 18,350, and the phones have been ringing, the emails have been coming in this morning, and so we're right on track to break our record, which will be over 65,000. And if we don't make it by Friday afternoon, then we will keep the lines or keep the project going through Monday morning, which is normally the way that this works. But we're having great response.
Okay, folks, you've probably heard about this before if you listen to AFR, but if you're new, there's nothing gimmicky about this. We are by we I mean Tim and his ministry, and we at ours. We're offering these Bibles free. Now basically this is the New Testament. Okay, it's not the whole Bible, but it's the New Testament. And because you just can't, you know what I'm saying, it makes it easier to get out there. But it has the New Testament. It's called the Truth for Youth, and they're paperback. They're easy to to carry around, and they are so what you do, here's the idea. You have a young person who knows another young person who does not know Christ, and they give them this as a gift for free.
And it could be a better time of year because August.
Back to school.
Yeah, we're back to school. And I was gonna. Sorry for interrupting you, but on the back there, one of my favorite.
Like your father.
Just like like father, like son. That's more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the back there, I like how they go through. I believe it's ADF or First Liberty. One of the
students' legal rights on public school campuses are listed here.
Printed on
All
the
right.
back.
So what we're saying, folks, is you can pick up the phone and call Tim Todd's office in West Monroe, Louisiana. They'll take your name and address. They'll send you the Bible for free. Your name doesn't get added to. We don't sell your name. Your name doesn't get added to anything else. This is simply a straight up trying to get the word of God out across America.
Amen.
And lead young people to Christ. We've gone over 1 million Bibles since we started this project with you, Tim. How many years ago?
It was 24 years ago, and we're at a little over 1.1 million so far.
Okay, Tim. So if they want to take it, by the way, the boxes of Bibles, if you want to order a box, how much 50 for $100 plus shipping, is that right?
That's correct. My cost on the Bibles is $2 each, and so if they order 50 Bibles or more, they get them at my cost, which is only $100 for 50 Bibles plus shipping and help us distribute them on a massive level.
Okay, so Tim has some of his staff standing by there in West Monroe to take your calls right now to participate. So you can order 1 Bible, 2 Bibles. They're free, but per teenager in your high school, in your home, or your grandchild. Everybody understand? Do you understand that, Ed?
Well, it was a little confusing. So if you have a teenager in your home or a grandchild who's a teenager,
yes,
if they promise to give it away,
yes,
they get it free.
Yes, bingo. You just bingoed, Ed.
Yeah.
All right, so give the phone number and the website, if you would, Tim.
Yes, it is 844-530-8890. Again, 844-530-8890. And the website is tfy.org. tfy.org.
All right, where are your people from, Todd? Originally.
Actually, are you talking about?
I'm talking about
yeah. So my grandmother was born and raised in Paris, France. Came to America as a war bride in World War I. Had to learn the English language. My grandfather did not speak French, and my grandmother didn't speak English, but they had 11 children, so I guess they didn't have too much trouble communicating.
No, that was called, they spoke the language of love.
Yeah, that's right.
Right
That's
there.
right.
So you said your grandmother was French? Your great-grandmother?
Yes, my grandmother was full-blood French, and my grandfather was in World War I, was stationed there in Paris.
Yeah.
And they got married, and my grandfather, he's actually Swedish, but my grandmother was full-blood French.
Wow. All right. Well, listen, Tim, thank you, brother. We'll look forward to getting an update from you later on, but we're doing great. We're proud of our partnership, and we're thankful for our listeners for helping us get the Word of God out across America to the young people going back to school.
Amen. Thank you, Tim, for your partnership with American Family Radio and Revival Fires to reach a generation of young people.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. You're listening to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. First story, Chris.
Well, Democrat Representative Cori Bush of Missouri on Tuesday became the second member of the so-called squad to lose their Democratic primary election. Jamal Bowman of New York was the other one earlier this year. We talked about that. Now, Bush, much like Bowman, lost to a Democrat opponent who was supported by the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC. I've got some audio of Cori Bush last night in her concession speech, and she had a message for AIPAC. Clip 11.
Pulling me away from my position as Congresswoman. All you did was take some of the strings off. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Because see, now I don't have to worry about some strings that I have attached, and as much as I love my job. But all they did was radicalize me, and so now they need to be afraid. I just grew up a whole lot more over the last few weeks. And so let me say this. AIPAC, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down.
Okay. She needs some therapy.
That was very pleasant. I enjoyed listening to
Always
that.
soft-spoken, Cori Bush.
She needs some, like nature music.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Listen to river streams or things.
This is NPR.
Yes. Okay? Yeah. All right. So for those who don't know, the voice you just heard was Cori Bush. She has been a United States House of Representatives member from the St. Louis area. Mm-hmm. And she is part of 6 to 8 of them with
AOC.
The most famous one being Alexandria
Ocasio-Cortez,
and Ilhan
Omar, Rashida Tlaib.
Those names, you've seen them
Presley.
in the news. They do a lot of interviews. Mm-hmm. They represent the far, far left of the Democrat Party. So, and almost all of them they can't stand Israel, all right? And a lot of their vitriol is very anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish. So she got beat last night in a primary, Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
In a primary. So she got beat by another Democrat pretty soundly. And she's mad because the Jewish lobby, what are they called?
The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC.
They poured a bunch of money into her opponent's campaign, and they beat her. They were part of the reason she lost. So in the Democrat, district. So she's really, I don't know if you could tell, but she's upset.
You could tell. Yeah, you got to wonder, is this going to be the trend for the next couple of months, especially when the Democrats are having to think through, I say Democrats, how close, especially leading up to the election, how close are they wanting to be associated with the squad members after seeing this type of...
There is a war going on.
They're
trying to keep it under the surface, but there's a war going on inside the Democrat Party, Ed, of those who are for Israel and those who hate Israel.
Well, and Cori Bush actually says that. She admits that was pretty open what she said. She said, now I have no strings attached. In other words, now she can say exactly what she means, which means she was hiding some of her true feelings, probably because the Democratic Party has told the members of the squad, hey, you need to pull back. We're in election season. You're going to have to pull back what you might want to say openly when it comes to Israel and the problems, the war with Hamas. So she just admitted that not only is the Democratic Party trying to convince members of the squad to hold their tongues, but she would not speak openly. So listen, a little bit of deception going on. I know probably all politicians tend to do this. They're not going to tell you oftentimes exactly what they think and feel because they want to get reelected, but Cori Bush just admitted it.
Well, don't we have some audio from Van Jones on this same as well?
Yes. Now, the Van Jones audio, let me take a moment to set this up. Van Jones, who, by the way, had no problem being called a, quote, czar when he worked for Barack Obama in that administration back in the day. But Van Jones was on CNN yesterday expressing concerns about Vice President Harris picking Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate. The scuttlebutt yesterday, and for several days now, has been that Harris decided not to pick Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania because Shapiro is Jewish. So that is among the reasons why Van Jones had a problem with Vice President Harris picking Governor Walz. Clip 8.
Do you think it was a little risky, though, Van, that she didn't go with Shapiro to kind of lock down Pennsylvania? I mean, yes, David Challenger was saying earlier, just because you pick him as your running mate doesn't mean you automatically win Pennsylvania. But I got to think it would have helped just a little bit.
Hey, listen, the conservatives, the right wing, the Republicans, they were chewing their fingernails down to the knuckle because they were afraid of a Josh Shapiro. They were afraid of a Mark Kelly. They're not as afraid of this new governor because they think they can define him. So here's the challenge you've got in this party. And people don't want to talk about it. We got to talk about it. On the one hand, you have a lot of young people who are concerned about Gaza. You have a lot of Muslims and Arabs and others. They have not felt seen by the Biden administration. You start hearing that genocide joke. That was building. And so those folks needed to have a candidate that they could feel comfortable with. This helps them in that regard. But you also have anti-Semitism that has gotten marbled into this party. You can be for the Palestinians without being an anti-Jewish bigot, but there are some anti-Jewish bigots out there. And there's some disquiet now, and there has to be. How much of what just happened is caving into some of these darker parts in the party? So that's going to have to get worked out. It's going to have to get talked through.
Listen, I'm going to say, we talked about this a little bit in our story meeting, Wesley. Van Jones is a liberal. He's sold out, no problem. I disagree with 98% of probably what he would say. But I kind of like Van Jones for this reason. That was an honest statement, what he said. Yeah. He was saying the quiet part out loud, that expression, because there is a strain of anti-Semitism in the Democratic Party.
Now, we would say it's more than he thinks, but he's at least acknowledging that it's there and that it's causing problems.
That it needs to be worked out.
And I got the impression that he also was saying that it's also wrong.
Yes.
Even it's a small part. Even I say it's more than that. He says it's a little bit, but he's saying it's still wrong.
Yes.
And so,
and he notes probably what we all suspected is that Josh Shapiro. He's also right. If I was on the Trump campaign, I would have been very nervous if Kamala Harris had picked Josh Shapiro or Mark Kelly, the former astronaut from Arizona.
Yeah.
Those would have been more formidable picks, I think, for the Harris ticket. So I also appreciated that. But he hits it right on the head.
Yeah.
This is a problem in the Democratic Party. They need to work this out.
One thing you don't know in this whole scenario with Harris picking, how do you pronounce his name?
Tim Walz.
Walz.
Like the walls
How's
here.
it spelled?
W-A-L-Z.
Okay. So with her picking Governor Walz of Minnesota, and not picking Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, the governor of Pennsylvania may have quietly declined. Now
That's possible.
We don't know, but he wouldn't say that out loud, because he wouldn't want to embarrass Harris, so to speak. Although I don't know what's so embarrassing necessarily about just saying that I don't want to do that, because he's only been in the governor's seat for what, 2 years maybe?
Yeah, this is his first term.
Yeah, so I mean, he could say, no, I got work to do in my home state, which I ran for office in Pennsylvania. But what I'm saying is Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, now listen, I'm going to disagree with his politics, most all of it, as far as I know, but he has a bright future in the Democrat Party, it appears. He may not have wanted to hook his wagon to Harris.
He's 51 years old.
Who, Shapiro?
So, I mean, he's got a career ahead of
He's
him.
got
still
another
politically.
40 years.
Yeah. Well, he can come back in 30 years and run for president. In America,
There is a precedent for that.
We like them well done. If they're going to run for president, they need to be upper 70s, lower 80s. But listen, he may have said, it's not my time, I'm not ready. So we don't know if that's the reason he wasn't chosen. Or was it the reason that Van Jones is talking about there? Half the Democrat Party, or maybe, I don't know how you measure it exactly, but a substantial percentage of Democrat Party operatives and candidates, they can't stand Israel or the Jews. And yet you got a lot of Jews who are part of the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
I don't know how you, quote, work that out like Van Jones. You're going to have a kumbaya conference. Go ahead.
Okay, I just looked this up. Pew Research Center shows a plurality of Democrats, 43% oppose providing Israel with military aid for the war against Hamas, while a quarter of Democrats support it.
Okay, so there you go.
That's
what I mean by civil war inside the Democrat Party. You're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Next story, Chris.
Well, keeping with Israel and Jewish voters there, let me stick in this audio bite from Donald Trump. He was talking about some polls out there that show he is gaining support from Jewish people in New York and in other places there, possibly even edging out Kamala Harris in the race for Jewish people in some of these battleground states. Clip 10.
Well, we're going to try and win New York, and that hasn't been done for many, many decades, as you know, but we're trying to win New York, and we're very close to doing it. And probably that's another reason I was somewhat surprised. I think that any Jewish person who votes for a Democrat, or in this case, these people, but who votes for a Democrat, should have their head examined. They are so bad. If you look, they are so bad to Jewish people, what they've done and the way they talk and their policy and everything else, far beyond just what happened, because everyone thought it was going to be Shapiro. It turned out not to be Shapiro. I have very little doubt that it was, not for the reason we're talking about. It was because of the fact that he's Jewish, and they think.
Okay, a couple of things on that. That's former President Donald Trump commenting on the on Harris's selection of Walz. Okay, there's two things. As they say, two things can be true at one time, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, President Trump is delusional. If he thinks he's going to win the state of New York he needs some help. Okay. Now, the second thing that he said was absolutely right was that he said how Jews can vote Democrats when it's the Democrats, when a lot of their party hate Jews and hate Israel, is beyond him.
Right.
This is what Trump
should
has
have
said.
their head examined.
He's bingo. He just bingoed on that card right there. But Republican, Trump or anybody, they got no shot at winning the state of New York. You'd be wasting your money. We'll be back momentarily. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildman.
It was the middle of winter, the year 1916. Glenn and Floyd Cunningham were, as usual, the first to arrive at the little Kansas schoolhouse. They began their routine of building a fire. Neither knew that the night before, the Ladies' Literary Society had met in the school and that somehow gasoline for the lanterns had gotten mixed with kerosene for the stove. The result was an explosion that engulfed the boys in flame. Somehow they made their way home. Floyd soon died. Glenn managed to live, but the doctor gave a gloomy report. Glenn may never walk again. 7-year-old Glenn Cunningham heard the doctor's words, and he made a vow. He would walk again. "Doc, I don't want to sit," said Glenn. "I want to walk and run, and I will." Well, for the next 6 months, Glenn and his mother worked for hours each day, massaging the legs. At the end of 6 months, Glenn was walking. 2 years later, he was running, not fast, but running. When Glenn was 12, he entered his first mile race and won. It was the beginning of a career that was to bring Glenn Cunningham fame and satisfaction. Glenn continued to run and continued to win. He worked his way through the University of Kansas. In college, the intercollegiate records began to fall beneath his driving legs that weren't supposed to walk. In 1933, he was awarded the James E. Sullivan Award as the amateur athlete who had done the most to advance sportsmanship. In 1936, he earned his master's degree from the State University of Iowa. At the Olympics in Berlin that summer, Cunningham broke the Olympic record for 1,500 meters, despite the fact that he finished second. Then at Dartmouth College in 1938, Glenn reached the summit. He ran the indoor mile in 4 minutes, 4.4 seconds, a new world record. The boy who may never walk again had become the world's fastest indoor miler. Glenn Cunningham knew there was more to life than running. Soon it was Dr. Glenn Cunningham. He and his wife Ruth returned to their Kansas ranch, 840 acres he had bought with his savings. Having a love and reverence for life, and believing that each person could make a go of it if given a fair shake, Glenn set forth to aid youth. After a speech in 1947 at a church, the minister asked to speak with Glenn in private. "There's a boy here in desperate need," the minister said. "Billy is apathetic, completely wrapped up in a shell nobody can pierce. Can you help?" That was the first of more than 8,000 youths that Glenn and Ruth took in. It meant they would lose their ranch. It meant hardships and heartaches. But the same determination, the same patience, the same strong belief that had made Glenn a winner at running made him a winner at providing for his youth. Glenn once said that God has granted Ruth and me 8,000 miracles, and we are humbly grateful. When you think about it, that's not so unusual. Miracles always come when one has faith, hope, love, and dedication. Glenn Cunningham is real proof of that.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildman, a production of the American Family Association.
For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves. Colossians 1, verse 13.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Tim Wildman here with Ed Battagliano, Wesley Wildman, and Chris Woodward. And if you want to, Ed, how can folks watch this here show if they are so inclined?
If you are inclined, if you like to watch radio,
right?
And who doesn't want to watch radio? Okay. There are
you need to get
at
a life.
least there are at least
improve your life, people.
4 ways to do that. You can go to Facebook and search for Today's Issues. That's the name of this program. You can go to YouTube and search for Today's Issues Live. You can go to our own streaming platform, stream.afa.net, or you can go to X, formerly known as Twitter, and search for American Family Radio. All 4 of those will provide for you the live video stream for this program. And most of our shows on our Talk Network have a live video stream.
Wesley, also, we have this show and others available in what we call podcast form, right?
We do. We podcast them.
All right. What is that, Wesley? Because I met somebody the other day, and I said, you can download our radio show, Today's Issues, our podcast, if you miss it. And they looked at me like I had 3 heads.
Okay. Well,
I didn't want to say, no, you're the one with 3 heads if you don't know what a podcast is, but I didn't want to insult them.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because we want them to go check out the podcast.
Right. What is a podcast, and where can you find it?
On afr.net, there's a tab at the very top that says podcast. And what we do is we take each segment and we upload them onto the respective channel. So in this case, you're listening to Today's Issues. So once you click podcast on afr.net, there we have archived and we have saved or stored all of our radio programs. So if you were listening, I guess yesterday, the day before, and you heard us talk about something and you want
to go back and listen to it,
instead of emailing or calling up here and having to go through the process of us sending it to you, you can just go to afr.net podcast, and there. Now that's not just for Today's Issues. All the other programs are on there as well.
Yeah. For those of you thinking 20, 30 years ago, what we would say, there's a tape recording.
Yes.
There's a tape recording of this show every day, and other shows we air on American Family Radio that you can listen to on demand.
Right.
Just clicking on them. That's what a podcast is. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues. Dr. Alex McFarland joins us right now. Alex, where are you today, my friend?
Well, I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Hey, I'm a golfer, as you know, and they say that's just a golf mecca over there. Is that right?
Is.
Everywhere
It is.
you drive down the street, you see a bunch of golf courses.
Everywhere you look, brother. And we're working. We're going to do a big evangelistic event here next week on the 15th.
On the golf courses?
On the 15th hole.
The website for our evangelistic event next week is at curiousaboutchrist.com. Curiousaboutchrist.com. But we're also, just because I don't have good sense, we've committed to rent the Coliseum for the fall of 2025, and we're going to invite Eric Metaxas and yourself, and we want to have a big biblical worldview apologetics event here next fall in a year.
In Myrtle Beach?
Yes, sir.
Well, of course, that's one of the top vacation destinations in America right there.
It is,
And
yeah.
conference destinations. Okay, Alex, I wanted to ask you about, I sent you this earlier because there's a lot of discussion now about the Vice President Harris, and now she's named the governor of Minnesota, her running mate, Walz, and their ideology, their beliefs, politically and otherwise. And this is what Elon Musk sent out this morning. Elon Musk, and I don't know how many followers he has on the company he owns, X. I'm sure I could look that up, but
he has 193.1 million followers.
Is that all?
Yeah. Well, I was going to get started, but I'm not. But he's got that kind of lead on me right there. Anyway, he's Elon. When Elon Musk speaks, because he is the richest man in the world, or has been, and he started all these successful companies, people listen. And this is what he texted this morning. Because he's very concerned for the United States. He's a South African. He immigrated here. This is what he wrote. Kamala is quite literally a communist. That's what he wrote. And then he said after that, she wants not merely equal opportunity, but equal outcomes. Now, Alex, are you kind of surprised that somebody like Elon Musk, who, by the way, is also a businessman,
yes,
who depends on everybody to buy his products, pretty much Democrats, Republicans, conservative, liberals. He doesn't care who buys the Tesla but he has other companies he's a part of. But why he seems to be giving us a warning, Elon Musk does. Go ahead, comment on that.
Yeah, well, I think he's right. And as many have said, that Harris and Governor Walz or Walz or however you pronounce it, I mean, it really represents the most un-American ticket ever. And I mean, that's saying a lot. I mean, Obama and Hillary, Hillary used to use the phrase from each according to his ability, to each according to their need, which is straight out of the Karl Marx playbook. And Kamala Harris has said that as well. But, I appreciate Elon Musk. I really do. I pray for him. I mean, Tim, call me naive, but I pray for Elon Musk to get saved, because could you imagine what a force of nature he would be if he, all of his intellect and abilities, if that were applied to the Great Commission. But here's the thing. I well remember 8 years ago, people were saying about candidate Donald Trump. They said, but he's not a politician. He's a businessman. And I was like, yes, great. Because some good, pragmatic, common sense leadership, and I can say this, it would do a lot for our country. But look, in the last 2 years of Trump's first term, the economy was fantastic. The debt was getting paid down. And, here's the thing about Margaret Thatcher said it so well more than 30 years ago, that socialism is great until you run out of other people's money. And see, that's the thing about the Kamala Harris and all of the progressive, woke, liberal, call it what you will. You can't get something out of thin air. Some people have to work, produce things. That's why Elon Musk he's almost complete in his exodus from the People's Republic of California.
Yeah, that's true. Talking about Elon Musk tweeting out, Xing out this morning, warning his millions and millions and millions of followers. He said Kamala is quite literally a communist. I just wonder, though, guys, Ed, you can comment on this. Alex, how long do you have? You got 5 more minutes with us?
Sure.
Okay.
Anything you want, brother.
Okay. So you studied world history. Yeah. Okay, Alex has too, and Wesley, we've all. But I want to ask you. I'm not sure people 50 and below in the United States even know what communism is and why Elon Musk would be worried about it. Do you?
No, I think you're right. I think they don't. When I was growing up, people understood communism, the reference to communism, because you could point to the Soviet Union, right? Now, there were people who said, well, they're not doing it right, okay? But you had a place to point, and a lot of people said, well, we don't want to be that. Now, with the collapse of the Soviet Union, China is not really an example of communism because they've incorporated they are communists, but they've incorporated a lot of capitalist ideas. We trade
Western
with them. Western economics. So it's all theoretical now to people. And what Kamala Harris said, if you listen to what she said when Elon Musk tweeted out, Alex, then I'll pitch this to you. She said, equality is a great idea. Equality of opportunity is a great idea until you realize that we didn't all start in the same place. Some people have more money. They have a better advantage. They're going to wind up in a different place. And so that's why I support equity. The problem is that once you give the government the power to take money from this person and give it to this person to make them give them equal outcomes, that same government can keep taking as much as they want. And they can take anything they want from you because you've given them the authority to take what you've got and give it to somebody else.
Yeah. Do you know, a lot of people don't realize this, but I document in my book, The Assault on America, how to defend our nation before it's too late. Guys, I give God the glory, but that book 4 years ago was #1 in 3 categories on Amazon for weeks. But here's the thing. I document by 1900, socialism had been tried 80 times in the USA, in 80 localities around America, and it had been abandoned quickly. Now, at best, there were disgruntled people who got mad at each other, and in a few cases, there were homicides. But here's the thing. If you flip a coin 80 times and get tails, why do you think on the 81st you're going to get heads? I mean, there have been localities that tried what Kamala Harris wants, and 80 times out of 80, it was quickly abandoned. See, because recognizing human nature, William Bradford in the Pilgrim Colony recognized this very quickly. You cannot forcibly guarantee equal outcomes. Now, you can have equal opportunity. Some people have a work ethic. Some people are lazy. Some people are industrious and proactive. Some people are not. Some people have more capabilities in one area than another. And everything about equity, diversity, forced equal outcomes, that is absolutely not only antithetical to what America has been for 248 years, it's counter to human nature and counter to reality. And look, I say that I didn't know this growing up. This is a fact. I mean, I was poor white trash. Probably in some ways still am. But look, I know what it is. Guys, I know what it is for the bank to come and foreclose and put you out of your house. I was just a teenager. I know what it is to have no food in the kitchen and all you can do is drink tap water and say your prayers. And I'm telling you, America is about opportunity, hard work, and the beautiful thing about it is when you realize that if it's going to happen, you got to say your prayers, live right, and work hard. It grows your character. Mm. And American voters, I plead with you. I beg of you. I've traveled this world. I've interviewed hundreds of people. I've researched. I've taught political science. I plead with the American electorate. Do not let the greatest country, second only to Israel under King Solomon, the second greatest country in world history, please do not let us turn into a socialist gulag. Save this country. Pray and vote.
Yeah. Amen. All right, Brother Alex, thank you so much. What good and great words of admonition right there, brother.
Amen.
Thank you so much. And we will. You on with Bert this afternoon?
Yes, sir. We're in the book of Nehemiah, exploring the Word, 3 p.m. Central.
There you go.
Well, talk about rebuilding. We need to do some rebuilding here.
Amen. Thank you, Alex.
Blessing.
Appreciate it. That's Dr. Alex McFarland joining us from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But he and Bert, Brother Bert Harper, will be on this afternoon on this radio station at 3:05 with the radio show Exploring the Word. That's a live walk through the Bible, as they say, and those guys do a great job. So, ask him, Elon Musk. Elon Musk is sounding the alarm.
Yes.
About the radical policies of Harris and now Walz. I say radical. Mm-hmm. If you're a Bernie Sanders fan, you don't say this is not radical at all. This is what I want. This is what we want. If you want to know what the governor of Minnesota, by the way, he was elected twice. So the people of Minnesota, at least the majority of Minnesota people, agree with his politics.
Right.
Okay. But a lot of them would say, I don't find him radical. I find him mainstream. So, we're okay. I'm just telling you how a lot of people think around the country. But anyway, to the point, Elon Musk is saying he's warning about this Marxist ideology out here.
Yeah, I'm watching a video clip. Now, the video clip was posted on August the 6th, so that would have been yesterday, but I'm not sure what it's referring to. It is timestamp 2023. But there's a video here I'm looking at where Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who Elon Musk was referring to, where he signed a bill giving driver's license to illegal immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And but his enthusiasm and his celebration of doing it is comical. Like he's not like, we need to do this on a Friday afternoon when the news
he's
shut
proud.
down.
He's proud. He said we need to be proud of
ear to ear.
He said we need to be proud of our progressive values. He doesn't run or shy away from it. He doesn't try to hide it.
To your point here, I have a bit of audio. It's
my
quick,
point or Wesley's point or who?
both of yours.
Okay, thank you.
To give you an idea of where he is on the abortion issue, here he is at a past rally talking to abortion supporters. Clip 3.
And my record is so pro-choice, Nancy Pelosi asked me if I should tone it down. I stand with Planned Parenthood, and we won.
He doesn't even listen to Nancy Pelosi. That's how far left he is.
I love this.
Listen,
that helps us so much. I appreciate it.
Got to give that much. He's unapologetic. He's out there. He's a.
Well, and you guys played yesterday. Do you still have the clip about?
Yes, I can do it. It's in this montage of crazy things Tim Walz has said.
This is about
where he talks about socialism.
He loves him some socialism.
Now, here now is going to be a clip of Governor Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's running mate, talking about a number of things from Minnesota, George Floyd riots to policing, and then finally socialism. Clip 1.
We saw large, peaceful protests. A society that does not put equity and inclusion at the center of it is certainly going to eventually come to the places where we're at.
This is that catch-22. The more police are there, the more tension it is. The more tension it is, the more chance you have to get things.
Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory.
That guy might be the president in the not-too-distant future, should, God forbid, something happen to Kamala Harris.
And
she gets elected.
Every couple of days or something, either the Republicans or the Trump campaign will do something silly, and you go, come on, that didn't help. But then you come across this kind of stuff, and you're going, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Got a lot of.
Can Brother Tim speak from the
You got
heart?
you got a lot of.
You want to? Why don't you share?
The Democrats are giving us a lot of room here for some mistakes because that is bad.
You ready for me to share my heart?
I'm ready. I'm always ready for you to share your heart.
Okay, share my heart.
Just
listen.
Eventually, we need a.
All right,
a
people vote for various reasons on candidates. I would say people vote 50% on policy and 50% on personality or likability or I relate to that person. Emotions. We're humans, right?
Right.
And we have emotions, and that factors into our lives on a daily basis, and that includes who you vote for. Hillary Clinton lost in 2016. Now, she won the popular vote, but she lost some very close races in some states Democrats traditionally win. And a lot of people said, well, the only reason Trump had a chance, now Trump was a force of nature at the time, and he was different, and he was new and novel and so forth. But a lot of people voted for him because they didn't like her.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was not likable. Am I right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying that I think if we've said this before, and you said this, I think, Ed, if Biden would have stayed in, the November presidential election would have been a referendum on Biden.
Yes.
But now the Democrats have taken him out of the picture, and the referendum now is on Trump, in my opinion, because he's viewed as sort of the incumbent, right? Because he was the president. So the Democrats are saying we don't want the referendum to be on Biden. We want it to be on Trump. Now, how that's going to turn out, who knows yet? But do you think that everybody's going through Harris's list of policies?
I think right now you're right with the way you just laid that out.
Right.
Right now the election is a referendum on Trump. The task for the Trump campaign is probably in the aftermath of the Democratic National Convention here in a week or two.
Yeah.
They need to make this a referendum on Biden-Harris, okay? In other words, they need to link Kamala Harris to Joe Biden so that Americans are voting on whether they want another 4 years like the last 4 years. That's the task for the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
They've got to switch that. They got to pull that big spotlight off Donald Trump and his personality and put it on Kamala Harris and now Tim Walz and say, look, they're not only going to be like Joe Biden, they're going to be worse.
Yeah.
So you want 4 more years of that? That's what you want everyone asking when they go into the voting booth on November 5th.
Yeah. You're listening to today's issues on AFR. Wesley, any comments on that?
Yeah, I think you'll have some people. You've said before that, you got people that's going to vote one way or the other if you were to vote today, no matter what. But you still got time to change some votes or to change some people's mind here. And I think the day that somebody in the media, or whether it's a debate or whether it's a press conference, at some point when Kamala Harris begins to start talking,
right, and having to defend and explain
why she's running for president,
right,
then I think at that point you'll start to see some numbers change even more drastic than they may be in some of the swing states. The biggest thing right now is, and this has been like this since 2016. The moment that Trump won, it gives the fuel to the media. The media that was dying, the left-wing media that was dying, now thrives off of hating Trump, and they always have. There's been news stories that cover the fact that about 90%, 95% of the stories that were covered during Trump's first time in office, 90 to 95% of them were covered from a negative perspective, and the highest up to that point was like 60% with former presidents. My point is that you've got a lot of hatred for Trump, regardless and of rationale or logic. They just hate Trump, so you're going to have that. So you do have an uphill battle there. But again, as soon as back to Ed's point, the Trump administration has to bring to the minds of the American people what we've been living in the last 3 years and what he's going to do with his policies. If you do that, I don't think this is even close, even with all of his flaws.
You're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. All right, Ed, we talked about this morning. Trump likes to roll out these nicknames, right?
Yes.
He's got these nicknames for everybody. And his new one is Kamala Harris. He said, Kamala Harris is afraid to debate me on Fox News. She will be easier to defeat on the debate stage than crooked Joe Biden. Just watch. Do you think that Kamala, is it how you say that?
Kamala, I think.
Let's go with Kamala. It's easier to pronounce.
Hey, is that going to stick with?
I think he's going to continue to use it. This is playing off the comment before the National Association of Black Journalists when he said, "I thought she was Indian," talking about Kamala Harris all this time. but now she identifies as black. And so Kamala is a combination of Kamala and Shambhala, I think, the old Three Dog Night song.
I'm on the road to...
Yes, Shambhala. All right, so I think you can pull that off if you're Donald Trump. I think it's unwise if that's your lone point of attack. You've got to take Kamala and you've got to tie it to her policies, and you've got to say, listen, she will tell you whatever you want to hear, and that includes her policies. Don't fall for it.
We'll be back in a minute. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
As a federal or state employee, you have the opportunity to support the American Family Association through the combined federal campaign by designating a monthly payroll deduction using 12037. You help AFA continue to fight for your family. So when you complete your CFC form, remember, AFA's number is 12037. And thank you for your help.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Officials warning South Carolina residents to stay home and off the roads. Nicole Valdez has the latest on Tropical Storm Debbie, reporting from Myrtle Beach.
We know how quickly those roads can get underwater, and again, how difficult it is to see just how deep it is. So Governor Henry McMaster yesterday really cautioned people to try to avoid that. You know, he said if a road is closed off, it's that way for a reason. Don't try to drive through it and test it out yourself. That's how, unfortunately, we see injuries. We see loss of life. We see water rescues happen. Thankfully, we haven't seen anything in the way of anyone being seriously hurt or killed in this storm in South Carolina just yet, and they want it to stay that way.
Israel bracing for a potential Iranian attack as tensions rise in the Gaza Strip. Trey Yinks reporting from Haifa, Israel.
Israel continues to brace for an attack from Iran and its proxies as the United States urges restraint. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah on Tuesday spoke at a ceremony for a senior commander that was killed in an Israeli airstrike last week. As Israeli fighter jets swooped over the ceremony, he vowed to take revenge and target Israel. Amid these new threats, U.S. diplomatic efforts are underway to avoid a crisis and widening war. Other diplomatic conversations continue related to the war in Gaza, where more than 300 days in, there's no end in sight. Now, Israeli forces do remain on high alert along the southern and northern fronts, understanding that a new attack could come at any moment.
GOP vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance held a press conference today where he was asked this question about Kamala Harris not picking Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro as her running mate.
Senator Garrett Haake from NBC News. You have repeatedly suggested that the only reason Kamala Harris didn't pick Josh Shapiro to be her running mate is because of his Jewish faith. Do you have any evidence to support that assertion that a person who's married to a Jewish man is somehow anti-Semitic or bowing to anti-Semites?
Well, I reject the premise of the question. I did not say that that was the only reason that Kamala Harris didn't choose Josh Shapiro. So you should, take a little less DNC talking points when you ask your questions and ask a real question. I have suggested that Kamala Harris was motivated, or at least her party was motivated by anti-Semitism. And the evidence that I offer for that is what dozens of Democratic activists said in the run-up to her selecting her nominee. There were multiple grassroots activists, multiple media personalities, multiple people with influence in the Democrat Party who suggested that she should not choose Josh Shapiro because of his ethnic background.
The mainstream media is falling in line with Kamala Harris, including the magazine that was founded by Billy Graham and used to be a stalwart defender of evangelical theology.
The article in Christianity Today was titled "Black Christian Leaders Find Hope with Kamala Harris," and it's a fawning piece that winks at her support of sexual sin, doesn't even mention her blessing on the medical mutilation of sexually confused children, and suggests that since the pro-life plank in the GOP platform has been significantly watered down, the consciences of Christians, specifically black Christians, have been freed up to vote for the party that champions abortion till birth. Evangelical apologist Dr. Alex McFarland says it's been a stunning fall from grace.
Christianity Today is nothing like the journalistic excellence that was founded by Billy Graham and Carl F.H. Henry so many decades ago.
He says the article is everything leftists and their undercover influencers in the evangelical church could hope for.
Christianity Today, especially under its current editorial staff, has merely become one of the sectarian arms of the Democrat Party.
McFarland says for years the Democrat Party has used the African American community for votes, then abandoned them for the next 4 years, and they're starting to wake up. Democrats see shoring up the support of black church leaders as a way to keep the sheep in the fold.
This is what one black delegate said to me in Milwaukee at the RNC. He said, "We are tired of being useful, quote unquote, to the Democrats."
McFarland notes that the adjective most often paired with that word, but only hinted at in this case, is idiots. I'm Steve Jordahl.
More news online at afn.net and the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Join us for the second annual AFA at the Ark.
Myself and Tony Ventagliano, his family, and my family, and several of the other staff members at AFA.
Tickets include transportation from the hotel to the museums, both tours, and special presentations by Answers in Genesis speakers. AFA has reserved a block of rooms at a discounted price with the Marriott Cincinnati Airport Hotel. To register, go to afa.net/events and join us for AFA at the Ark.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildman, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on American Family Radio. Thanks for listening to AFR. We got 24 and a half more minutes on the program today on this Wednesday. It's August the what?
August 7th.
August 7th.
Seems like we just finished with the 6th. It's amazing.
You know, you're right, Steve.
Yeah.
The 6th just blew by, didn't it?
Before you know it, it's going to be August 26th and my birthday.
Is it? Really? Well,
it is.
We can't forget that.
And
I'm just
we
messing
will.
around with you guys. You will.
We probably will, but let's try not to forget it. Listen, we three guys, we probably need to pitch in, get Ed some kind of birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
You're looking at the wrong person because giving is not a love language of mine, nor do I believe it should be in there.
And I don't need anything. Thanks. Guys.
Yeah, right. That's what your wife tells you every year too, right? And you believe her?
I don't get birthday presents. I'm serious.
I tell my
wife.
Good morning, Steve Paisley Jordahl.
Good morning, everybody.
Or Steve Cheapskate Jordahl.
Yeah, that's right. When your wife tells you, no, I don't need anything for my birthday.
Oh, no. No, I don't.
Hey,
we
listen,
don't do that.
I clipped out a $5 Domino's coupon the other day, and it's coming your way, whether you want it or not. Yes, $5 off a large. Yeah.
Which in Biden's economy is still $25
for a pizza.
It'll buy you a slice.
You know what's so funny when you go to a vacation spot or you travel to tourist destinations?
They know.
Like Alice and I, we went to Boston a couple weeks ago for our 40th anniversary, and traveled around in the outskirts and anyway, things were twice as high as we're used to paying back home where we live. Now, part of that maybe is
it's taxes.
But it's taxes. But I'm just saying, wherever you go, if you go to an amusement park, or you go to a professional baseball game, they're going to have $8 hot dogs today.
Right.
I'm just saying things are crazy, but you're not sensitized. You numb yourself.
Yeah.
When you go on a trip like we've been on.
Most people do. I've traveled with one person that does not numb themselves.
Well, of course, I mean, we got a little more disposable income because all our kids are gone and, are out of a house like Wesley.
Is that
he's
true,
out.
Wesley?
He's one of the three that got out of the house and supporting his own stuff. And he's the one now struggling.
Make ends meet.
But I'm just saying that it when you're in our position in life, you don't feel the impact of prices as much as somebody who has 3 kids.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but what I'm saying, so a meal that would have cost $40 for us to eat dinner, or $50 back home cost 80 to 100.
Right.
But when you go on vacation, I think you psychologically sort of prepare yourself that you're going to be
ripped off.
You're going to be ripped off, but you're going to be happy
and I'm going to enjoy it.
But I'm going to enjoy being. That's what I'm saying. You can enjoy being ripped off.
Yeah.
Because you're on vacation.
Oh, listen, just all the people out there listening who've gone to Disney World,
Disney World,
they know exactly what you're talking about.
Walk through those. You walk through those doors, and you're going to pay $10 for
$25
a big
to park
Coke.
the car.
Yeah, huh? We just got a snack for the day. How much was that for 3 people? $99.
Yes,
it was on sale. It had a discount.
Yes.
Buy 2
I had a
Cokes,
coupon.
get 1 free.
Yeah, I had a Coke and popcorn and a hot dog, and it was $27. I feel good about it. All right, so Steve.
Yes, sir.
Last night I sent around a very important story.
It was.
It was a video which Brent Creeley, our producer, is about to post. Where are you going to post it?
On Facebook, our Facebook page.
Our Today's Issues Facebook page.
That is correct.
And it was I guess she's an Olympic. No, she's let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Tell us about her.
Well, I got to get her name because
Katie
Ledecky. She's the most decorated, one of the most decorated Olympians in U.S. history, swimming history.
She's kind of like Phelps, Michael Phelps, and the boys.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe not quite that decorated, but she's won 7 gold medals in swimming.
Yes. She started. This is her 3rd Olympics, I believe. She started as a teenager. Now she's kind of the dean of the women swim team.
If you want to see something more amazing than any of the athletic competition going on in the Olympics, go watch this video, which we just posted at today.
Now, when you shared that, the headline, I thought this was a gaffe or a joke or I don't know, AI or some type of made-up video.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
AI.
What do you not the AI part? What are you guys talking about?
The video? You haven't seen the video?
No. What video are we talking about?
We're talking about a video of Katie Ledecky, who decides she's showing the technique swimmers use to keep
Wait a
still.
minute, Steve. Hold on a second. This is bothering me.
Yes,
Hold
sir.
on a second. Ed, I sent this to you last night. with other people. I'm hurt that you haven't watched it.
Yeah, what time
you
did
care
you
about
send
what
it?
I send you?
What time did you send it? That's what I wanted.
It evidently doesn't matter.
I'm going to give y'all another 30 seconds, and I'm going to remind y'all that we're on radio.
Okay.
What do you?
I do not have it. I don't know. I do not.
Okay. Well, look what
Check
it
it.
is. It's her.
She's swimming. She holding. Is she got balancing on
chocolate milk. She's
oh
got
my
a glass.
goodness! While she's swimming.
Yes, she's got a glass of chocolate milk, and she swims the length of the pool with it on her
Probably
head.
a minute and a half. Probably about a minute worth of swimming.
She's about to
Now
be done.
I see why you guys are amazed.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
And then she. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Look how it finishes.
I wouldn't balance a chocolate milk on my head walking from the refrigerator to the sink in my kitchen.
Right, without having disaster strike.
Yes.
So the video, Katie Ledecky's in the pool. She has a snorkel so she can breathe. And what she does is she takes a glass of chocolate milk, she puts it on the top of her head as she's swimming the freestyle, face down, arm over arm, freestyle method. And she swims the entire length of the pool with that chocolate milk perched on her head. Doesn't spill a drop. Gets to the end and takes a sip.
That is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Isn't it?
I do not have it, Tim. I'm sorry. I know it makes you feel bad, but I do not have it anywhere.
You didn't get it?
I did not get it.
Okay, well, I'll resend it to you.
That is fascinating. I'll also say one other thing about the Olympics, since we are talking about at least someone who is in the Olympics. Somebody sent around, it might have been you, Tim, make you feel better, this synchronized swimming, the U.S. ladies.
Yeah.
And they did some song from Michael Jackson. I don't know. It was I don't remember what the song was. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was blown away by it.
What, synchronized swimming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I tried out, but
for the ladies team.
No,
we don't do
no.
that.
I know we don't, but it was anyway.
There's a Saturday Night Live skit from years ago of Martin Short and somebody doing the synchronized swimming, and he's wearing the nose clips and the wing floaties because he can't swim.
Yeah. It was. I'll tell you what. the athletes on display at the Olympics, it really is breathtaking to see the kind of not only raw talent, but the dedication that takes them to these kinds of heights.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
All is not well, though, in Paris. There's a group called Citizen Go that is kind of protesting. You remember the opening ceremonies where they mocked Christ and the Last Supper and everything. Right. Well, these people, Citizen Go's, written an open letter, and they've collected some 380,000.
Are they Parisians?
No, they're British, I think.
Okay.
Because the video I saw, and I didn't have time to load it, it was pretty noisy anyway. They were speaking English with a British accent, which made it sound all that more dramatic.
Yes.
But they were driving
sound like Hamlet.
They were driving a bus around Paris, and the bus had an image of the Last Supper by Da Vinci, and then it had a picture of the Last Supper mockery from the opening ceremonies, and the bus said, "Stop attacks on Christians."
Yeah.
They're driving the bus around Paris. The police pull them over and arrest them and throw them in jail. 6 of their team were forced to spend the night in jail for denouncing the Olympic opening ceremonies. 3 of their women, they write, were forced to undress so the police could, quote, look for drugs. So the arrest comes as Citizen Go has gathered 380,000 signatures demanding the International Olympic Committee issue an apology for the opening ceremonies. French authorities reportedly demanded that they remove the messaging from the side of the bus. So free speech, not so much in vogue. En vogue.
En vogue. Well, now, let me just say this. Absolutely, by the way, not in defense of France, but their laws are different than ours. And this is why America is so pivotal in the war against oppression and in the fight for the defense of natural rights and natural law. America is so pivotal because we have the most freedom and liberty of maybe any nation in history.
Yep.
You are allowed to say what you want to say in this country. In France and in the UK, you can be arrested. I guarantee you they were being arrested because they had posted the mockery. You had these drag queens posing as members of, as the apostles in this famous painting by Da Vinci. I guarantee they were arrested because they were criticizing drag queens. And you can't get away with that in that country. And now it is still an outrage, okay? But I'm just wanting people in this country to remember what we're fighting for in this nation. We talk about the quote-unquote progressive, radical, secular humanist left, the God haters. That's what they want to do to you. In Canada, you could not have a program like this.
The United States is the first country, I believe, in the history of mankind that is centered around individual freedoms.
Yes.
Other countries in history, for sure, and even socialist countries and even some of the more democratic countries, they think in terms of their government, and the people are the collective that serve the government.
Right.
And so you're forced into a draft, for example. You have to fight for your country. All of these things, they can put these burdens on you because the goal of the country is to preserve the power of the country, and they rise and fall as a country. The Roman Empire was all about the Roman Empire. It wasn't about individual Romans. The United States, because of the way our founders founded the country, it's about us. It's about me and my individual freedoms, and the government serves me.
It exists to protect those rights.
To protect those rights.
Natural rights.
And to serve me, to get my defense, to organize my community, to pave my streets, to do all those kind of things. And yes, they go overboard. They do things that they shouldn't do. But every other country that, and there could be some exceptions, don't hold me to this firmly, but other countries are surrounded, are set up so that the government is the pinnacle. That's the reason people serve the government. And that's the beauty of our way of life. And that's what the people like the Democrats, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, want to kind of take away. They want to replace the individual freedoms with more government control.
But that's not what he'll say, right? Walz, he's doing it for everybody's freedom and liberty.
Yes. Yeah, he's all in favor of minding your own business.
Until COVID.
Yeah. Don't we
have some audio?
It's funny.
there?
Yes, funny you bring that up. So
I did it on purpose.
I know. This is a clip of Tim Walz the other day, just yesterday, I believe it was, in one of his first appearances with Kamala Harris. And he is talking about they're making abortion the centerpiece of their campaign. Roe v. Wade was overturned, and it's the travesty of all. We're going to go ahead and put back as much as we can. We're going to install the right to kill your child. So he says, Tim Walz is making this about privacy. We mind our own business. Well, immediately after he says this, I put these two clips together. You're going to hear a phone number that Tim Walz set up in Minnesota during COVID, where if you wanted to report your neighbor for not obeying COVID guidelines, masking guidelines, and distance, this is the number you would call. So listen to cut two.
Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own business.
Hello, you have reached the Department of Public Safety stay-at-home hotline. The information you leave is considered public information. At the tone, please leave the following information: your name, your callback number, how the stay-at-home order is being violated, and where the stay-at-home order was violated. Thank you.
Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up.
All right. So, first of all, I despise the pro-abortion argument that Tim Walz was making in this speech. We're going to hear a lot of it.
Yep.
Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, now the vice president-elect, vice presidential candidate. And here's why I despise it. Yeah, we want you to mind your own business, and we want you to be free to do whatever you want, unless you're an unborn child, and then we're going to dismember you and vacuum out the pieces. And yeah, that's horrifying. Okay, but that's the reality. Now, let me just lay that out in a nutshell. We'll get to the horrible COVID call here in just a second too, but. Let me just lay out the difference between the two parties or the two sides of this issue. The pro-abortion people focus on the mother and say she has the freedom to do whatever she wants, even if she has to kill the baby. The pro-life side says you cannot ignore the baby, and we're focusing on that baby's right to live and to have freedom in the future and to make decisions for his or herself, and we think we should protect the life of that baby all the way up until birth. Okay, so that I'll leave it here, and people can jump in wherever they want. But that we're going to hear that argument a lot going forward. It's all about the freedom of the woman. Folks, remember that there's an unborn child there.
Let me tell you, that plays well.
Yeah,
with a lot of people.
Yep,
because you avoid it's a disingenuous discussion and debate, but the soundbite of mind your own business, you heard them roar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that type of messaging, using those specific words, apart from the subject at hand, a lot of the messaging is agreed universally, even cross-party platforms. Just the phrase, take out the debate of the topic. If I said, if you came in the room and I said, hey, just mind your own business,
Yeah.
Most people go, well, that's true. That's he's doing whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want to be left alone.
Well, America, we respect other people. That we have our own yards.
Right. Yeah. Right. Private property.
Yeah. I mean, that's individual choices.
Individual choices. Those types of things. Yeah. So using those phrases.
Oh, it works.
It works every time.
It works every time. That's why it's the burden is difficult on us as pro-life people because we have to get past that first to be able to discuss the heart of the matter.
This is funny, not funny, but that Kamala needs him to some degree because she can't communicate that well.
No, I
See,
agree.
really,
That's going to be a problem.
Well, see, here's the thing. There is no moral difference between the Holocaust of the children that we are killing in the womb and the Holocaust of the Jews being murdered in Europe in the 30s. So what if you were in Europe and someone says they're killing Jews, they're rounding up parents, women and children and men, and they're putting them in gas chambers, they're killing them there. And the argument from the government was, well, mind your own business.
Yeah, doesn't concern
morally
you.
Well,
reprehensible.
guys, because Steve, the moral equivalency is there. Yes, it's killing of innocent human being. I'm just telling you that in the course of discussion for the American public, it's harder when it's out of sight, out of mind. Number one, right? I mean, nobody. Okay, we don't ever see videos of what goes inside an abortion.
Right.
It's been 10 years. They remember the videos that were released 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The series of them over a couple months where they actually did.
Yeah, but they're going to get in anyway. I just think I don't think it's right, but I think I'm not so politically speaking. I'm not so sure how much that matters anymore. That as a big national issue, I think what I'm talking about Roe versus Wade being overturned. I do think the Democrats exploited that in 2022. They mischaracterized what the Supreme Court said. All the Supreme Court said was that the abortion laws will be decided by the states. That's all they said.
Right.
They didn't ban abortion nationwide, but the Democrats exploited that to make it sound like the Supreme Court and the Republicans were going to ban abortion nationwide. They did that to scare people. A lot of people who
it did drive turnout. I think.
Yeah,
I think it
hurt
drives turnout.
It was a net loss for the Republicans at the voting ballot in 2022. I don't think that matters so much anymore because I think
we're going to find out because that's going to be a centerpiece of their campaign.
Yeah.
That and January 6th, they're going to keep alive and hammering that because they don't have any accomplishments to run on.
Yeah, I know it's not. They don't have a lot to run on, and I tell you what's simmering out there, guys. We last 4 minutes to talk about the end of the world here. But can we discuss the end of the world?
End of the show, end of the world.
End of the world. No, we got a very contentious situation. We got several hot spots around the world that could spiral, quote, out of control. And you got Iran and Israel, which is on high alert, right?
Right.
And Ukraine and Russia, that's not going away, and it seems to be intensifying. I saw where Ukraine fired into Russia, and you know what I'm saying. That there's some talk of them trying to take out.
China wants
Vladimir
to invade
Putin.
Taiwan. He's got 3 months. They have 3 months.
Yeah, and now we have a leaderless United States of America, basically, on the world stage. I mean, Biden. I don't know why Biden hangs around. I don't know
Isn't
why.
that crazy that he's technically still president of the United States.
But he really has little power.
It's not technically. He is.
Well,
whether he's
yeah.
Here's the headline. Admittedly, it's from Fox. Biden hunkers down in White House with no public events on schedule again. That's just going to be what he does. He's not going to go out and campaign for Kamala Harris. You're not going to see him out.
Former President Trump yesterday said, I don't know, he said Biden's going to try to come back at the convention.
Yeah,
well, he can't. She's already won.
They've already.
Kamala Harris.
They signed it today or yesterday.
Yeah, they voted her in.
Oh, you mean they took his delegates and gave it to her?
Yes. And they have voted. She's now the nominee.
I know it's a small circle there, but don't you got to feel robbed if you're part of the Biden family?
I'm sure there's a lot of
after
bitterness
years and years of robbing everybody else. I'm not so sure.
Yeah. No, I don't. There's no empathy or
sympathy,
sympathy there at all.
Well, Bo, when it all comes down to it, he stepped aside voluntarily. He didn't have to. Nobody could tell him what to do.
Well, we don't know, and I hate to put this hat on.
With you on that.
Who knows whether he was threatened.
He's the president of the United States. There's nobody above him.
That's not the point.
Listen, what if they told him we'll go with the 25th Amendment? We
I'd
will
say bring it.
Yeah.
He'd lose. He'd be
Well,
embarrassed.
bring it on anyway.
Okay.
If you believe
All right.
if you believe you're righteous,
Yeah.
if Biden believes he's being unjustly treated, he had his chance to stand up to the bullies, and he didn't. He said, "I'll bow out."
Sure. That I'm just saying he was pressured.
He
And
didn't want to be
and he
removed.
gave in. He gave in to the pressure when he didn't have to.
Well, okay. we're out of time.
Well, they got to cut his knees off?
I think the 25th Amendment, he would have been forcibly removed from office. If the heads of the department, the secretaries.
Hurry up! You're running out of
time. All right. Well, you brought it up at the end. If Kamala Harris and the secretaries went in and said, if you don't step down, we're going to remove you from office by going with the 25th Amendment, it'll be humiliating. I think Biden has no choice at that point. He don't want to be
The Rolling
humiliated.
Stones had a album called "Sympathy for Biden." Remember that?
Yeah.
We'll be back.
You know, there are many ways we can impact the world around us. Some are more direct, like helping our neighbors and serving in our churches. Other